For what is a man? What has he got? If not himself, then he has not to say the things he truly feels, and not the words of one who kneels. The record shows I took the blows and did it my way. Yes, it was my way.
What up, everybody? It's your boy Tom here, and I'm back with my very 5th YouTube video. And let me tell you, is this thing fun, flirty, single, and ready to mingle? Apparently it was rising up. If I had to guess why this video is off to such a randy start, it's probably because it is about PvE experience in the Coil. Now, you may be saying, Tom, what the frickin' heck is PvE? And to that, I'd say, you're an idiot. I'm sorry, but it's basically like when you are playing against, computer opponents in a game. Stands for like player versus environment, I believe. The opposite of that, or I guess the other side of that, is PvP, player versus player. We here at Hunkytown Studios have high hopes for turning the Coil into a competitive 1v1 PvP experience like you might expect from digital card games like Hearthstone or Magic Online, Magic Arena. But that does require some overhead, like servers and stuff like that. And we don't got anything over our heads right now. Looking up, it's just the night sky. So that's not going to be happening quite yet. We're just a couple of fellas with moxie, grit, and know-how. So it will happen, but we just need a little time to build up the foundation first. We're going to continue making the game. We don't want to delay it until we have sort of the money or space to set up servers. But we're just going to focus on a single-player experience for now. Since we're focusing on this experience first, the game will play out a lot like a deck-building roguelike a la Slay the Spire, but mixed with more traditional card game gameplay. Maybe like Legends of Runeterra, Path of... what is it even called? Path of Champions, but like not garbage. I'm sorry, I said it. Garbage. Without further preamble, let's hop into the sort of design perspective shift that this PvE focus brought, and then I think at the end we'll go into maybe some of the gameplay stuff you could expect from the Coil. Some actual stuff. I'm sorry. Single-player action. Multiplayer design. So, when I first set out to start designing the Coil, like I said, hopefully I said this in the intro, I intended for it to be a PvP experience from the get. But, quickly reality set in. I had already thought up a lot of the potential core mechanics, and I had a bunch of design pillars that I had outlined that were being used as a way to structure my ideas. Now, these pillars are basically just phrases that very clearly, in plain words, state, some of the most important design philosophies that I want to be present in every design decision in the game. I'm sorry. These pillars are things like fun for new players and veterans alike, or simple mechanics that can build on top of each other to make complex decisions and dynamics. Though, if I'm being honest, I'm not good at simple, so that's going to take some work. But I think it would be best if I got it right. Now, what I was delighted to find after committing to working on a single player version of the game was that I didn't really have to change these design pillars. I mean, you can have important and impactful decision making whether you're playing against a human opponent or a computer one. So if I didn't have to change the fundamentals that I was building the mechanics of the game around, it became clear that I might not actually have to change much that I had already worked on. Instead, what I could do is build this single player atmosphere, this single player world around the cards that I'd worked out, the mechanics I'd worked out, and allow those additions do the heavy lifting in terms of switching the context to single player. That isn't to say that there are no differences in approaching designing a PvP or PvE game. There certainly are, but I think we can successfully make a set of cards that will be interesting to play around and dynamic to play with, whether it is PvP or PvE. We can have surrounding mechanics other than the card sling in itself that does a lot of the work towards shoring up those design differences, so to speak. Now, these surrounding mechanics are things like how you traverse your way through an overworld, an adventure that you progress through, um, how you acquire cards and tune your deck, and what kind of encounters you can run into. Things like battle, will there be puzzles, shops, trades, special events, that kind of thing. Ooh, and before I forget, another really exciting thing is designing these items, often called like relics or trinkets that you can collect in your adventure that can drastically change how you play the game, whether that's adding new mechanics or altering the effects of your cards in your deck. If you see me looking down here a lot, because I am reading some stuff off of a document, just deal with it, I guess. If you want to complain, just cry, please, or die. Anyway, what will this roguelike deck building experience look like? Early days here, folks, so bear that in mind. But currently, we're planning on having it take a shape sort of like this. You can construct your deck out of any cards you've unlocked, but you have some pretty strict deck building constraints that you have to work within. Because of this, many of your cards in your deck are going to be rather basic and or weak. If you're familiar with Slay the Spire, think like unupgraded strikes and defends. You're not restricted to a limited number or combination of the 6 aspects, but you will be more likely to discover cards on your travels that are of the aspects in your deck. So let's say your deck is mostly decay and growth. Well, then you will be more likely to come across those decay and growth cards in your adventure. Anyway, once you're satisfied with your starting deck, you're free to embark. You'll be making your way through an overworld of branching pathways that lead you to different types of encounters. However, fret not, for you can backtrack if you decided, oh, shoot, I went down the wrong trail. In fact, you can zigzag your way around the map as much as you want. Granted, there's like a pathway between the areas. But each time you make a move, each time you move a space, you will be counting down a timer. And as that timer passes below certain thresholds, enemies will become more powerful, but so will your rewards. So you can sort of balance it against that. Now, if the timer gets down to 0, you're not just going to like instantly lose or anything like that, but things will become considerably harder. There are ways to sort of wind back the counter a bit as you go through, sort of delay this inevitable spike in danger, but you're going to want to make sure your deck is strong enough and you're prepared to handle that if you get down to it. Speaking of rewards, encounters will present you with the option to add cards to your inventory, which you can then swap those in for a card already in your deck. You will also acquire cool items that add new abilities to you, or 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 modify your cards. And in this way, the game will be a deck building experience where you seek to optimize this set of, pretty randomized resources you come across. But it isn't like this full deck building experience because you do have this constructed portion at the beginning. In Slay the Spire or Dominion, everybody starts with the same set of cards. You get to choose here. And that choice will play some role in dictating how the adventure plays out, what cards you come across, and also, obviously, just the way your deck plays. Before we wrap up here, I just want to say the enemies you face will have their own deck of cards. Unique ones, and maybe with unique abilities, but they're basically playing exactly the same game as you, and you're battling them for survival. If your health drops to 0 in a fight, then you're out of here. You get kicked back to main menu or the deck building screen, and that run is over. Permadeath. So be careful. Alrighty, folks. So there you have it. I hope you are excited about, what I've shown you in this little peek into the Coil development today. And on top of that, I hope you're not disappointed that it's going to be a single player experience to start out. I know that may not be what everybody expected, but I think, as for right now, it's just how we're going to have to move forward. Competitive multiplayer servers will happen, at least that's the plan. So don't fret too much, please. Let me know what you think about this single player direction we've moved into. Your concerns, maybe things that you really like or dislike in other similar styles of games, and also just anything you want to drop in the comments below is really helpful. If you liked the video, please hit that like button, ring the bell notification thing when you subscribe so you know when new videos come out, and subscribe to my Patreon because you get a sweet, cool shout out if you're subscribed. So I got 4 whole patrons right now. Boom, 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 boom. My twin brother, Will. My cousin Lucas, one of my best buddies, Charles, and my partner, Theo. We've got these 3 in the privileged perspective tier, $5 a month, and you get a lot of cool benefits. And then Theo is in the interested individual tier, just $1. You get the gift of helping a man's dream come true. How could you not want that? Anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I hope to see you next time. Goodbye.
The record shows I took the blows and did it my way.